bit you talked about redirecting standard error to syslog-d. How does that bit work? I didn't follow that at all.
You can ask the person behind you.
Okay, all right.
No, it's a feature of some application containers. So for microviz does that. It's just the option I wrote there, like this syslog name or something like that. That's all it takes. What you have to do, and then it gets automatically redirected.
Thank you.
How do you manage your version dependencies? And
come again, please. Which dependencies?
Which version of things you depend on.
You mean
and
Python?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, for your deployments, because you say you're pinning to a specific version.
Yeah.
And if you're deploying two packages together, or two different things, yeah. How do you keep those in line?
Yeah, that's the point.
It's a small team. Is it quite easy?
Yeah, each application has its own virtual environment, so there is no such as a conflict. I don't have to care about that at all. I don't know if I'm getting you wrong now, but each application I deploy has its own dependencies packaged with it together. It's one thing in a Debian package which you put on a server, and they don't affect each other at all. That's the basic. That's the main idea I'm trying to convey here.
In a cluster or more than one server, are you managing the source code on a file shared by all the machines, or do you have the source code on all the machines deployed, and how do you manage caches and stuffs like that?
So I'm not sure I've got everything, but I just reply what I think you want to know. So we have a Git repo which runs in our office local network, and our build bots are in the local network too, so they have access to the Git repos, and they pull the data from there. That's part of the deployment script. It just connects to the build bot and then checks out the current version and builds a package out of it. So yeah, is that what you wanted to know?
All the clusters, all the machines of the cluster are in the same file, so you have the same source code shared by all the machines, or all the machines they have source code on storage of their own.
Okay, now I get you. No, we don't do networked storage. It's we try to make. Lawrence van Houten made actually a very good talk called fractal architectures, and that's what I'm trying to do to be. Each system should be as independent of the others as possible. So if you have one big storage with all the source code, you have a single point of failure. So, but I agree that it makes sense if you have a certain size of deployment, but for us it doesn't.
Yeah, there was. Okay. You have 1 minute. Quick.
Yeah, you answered about Python dependencies and the fixed version for Python dependencies, but about system dependencies like lib, whatever. How do you handle the exact version of that lib that you want to install? Because that can bite you too if you install what
that's
comes
what
with the
staging
system.
is for. That's what staging is for. It's hard to control. So we don't do automatic system upgrades or something like that. We test first if it breaks anything, but there's only so much you can do.
We were talking about rollback procedure.
Again, please?
We were talking about rollback procedure, but what will you do if your database is already modified? How long? I mean, okay, let's imagine it is so big that we can't just restore it from backup. So how long does it take to package new, to repackage some patch to deliver it to repository?
I get it. So yeah, currently it depends. because some applications are quicker to deploy because the point is the assembly of the virtual environment. So which is pretty quick if you're doing like twisted applications because you have very few dependencies. But deploying pyramid and pylons takes a while. And a while means 1.5 minutes approximately. So if you have a dev pipe PyPI caching server on it, so you get rid of the metadata queries to PyPI, you can get it down to like 1.5 minutes. Some deployments are 30 seconds. It depends on the dependencies.
One thing, you talked about Celery and the alternative of Twisted. Can you tell me more about the Twisted alternative? I mean, how do you felt using that, if you ever used that?
Well, it's just good ways to do RPC. It's not the same as Celery. So
yeah. How does it integrate into a Twisted application? Or, I mean, once you have a few workers working on that, how do you get that with... have you ever tried to use that, and how do you felt in comparison with Celery?
you can't compare it.
Okay.
I was just giving examples of easy ways to interface workers from a front end. So Celery does a lot of more than for example, RQ or even AMP and Perspective Broker. So you can't really compare them. The only similarity is that it's a good way to get this worker thing going, but you can't do a feature comparison only like that. It's a different concept entirely.
This is actually not a question, it's more like something back to whoever back there, you asked about the Postgres rollbacks. So if you need to roll back database, you should actually take care of I'm talking about Postgres, but database in general, that you have some sort of point-in-time recovery. So with Postgres, you can always store like a write-ahead logs. You can archive them, and you can have like a periodic snapshots. Mm-hmm. So if you make a poo-poo while you deploy, you can always roll back a bit to the point of time you want. I don't really think you can do that reliably in your deployment process. It will always be a manual hack. It's
really case to case, and if you do this jump back, you lose data. So it depends if you can, if it's okay for you. So there's really no general solution to data migrations or to how to do them properly.
Okay, thank you very much.